Hello, and today I'm going to talk a little bit about disappointment, or how we cope with things not going quite the way that we thought they might. In the UK this week, the A-level results have come out, and there's been a huge amount of controversy about that. The very fact that 40% of students have had their marks downgraded, or their predicted grades downgraded. A-levels are a big milestone in life, and I can still remember very clearly all those years ago the moment when the postman came up to the window. I opened the window and took the envelope from him to open that and find out what my A-level results were. So that is a really heightened emotional experience that I can still remember that and the detail of it all these years on. For thousands of young people all across the country this week, they've been waiting, and I've listened to some of the reports on the radio about people saying that, you know, it's probably the thing that people feel most nervous and anxious about. And why is that? You know, we put so much emphasis on something which is then going to determine or predetermine something that we've perceived is where we need to go, where we want to go. So that's really what I wanted to talk about, that if you have received the results that you weren't expecting, if you haven't been able to get a university place that you were hoping and expecting to get, all is absolutely not lost. Very often when we perceive something as a rejection in life, it's actually a redirection. And I'm not suggesting that, you know, if you've thought that you're going to go to university not to go. I'm just saying that actually it gives us an opportunity to possibly reconsider something that is a big decision in life. University education these days is not inexpensive, and most students can expect to come out owing between £50,000 and £75,000, which is a considerable investment in your education and in your future. So you really do need to be absolutely sure that the course that you've chosen is the right course for you, and it's going to be something that will reap the rewards and the benefits for you, maybe as a stepping stone, as a platform to something else, but certainly not to just jump into the first university that offers you a place through clearing if you haven't got the results that you were expecting and you're no longer able to attain your first choice. Taking a year out is not, again, what it might have been before the pandemic. Getting work experience, earning some money, before you go off to study or do something else is not as easy as it was. Having said that, there are still lots and lots of opportunities if you're fortunate enough to be able to be supported by your family at home, to perhaps do some voluntary work, to perhaps apply for an internship, to perhaps get involved in some kind of project in your community, building something in your local community, using the skills that you have and using the interests and the passions that you have about life and learning something new. It's also a great opportunity to learn something completely new that maybe takes you a little bit away from the subjects that you've been studying and the last 7 years of your life of studying, which for anyone is pretty intense. I myself had a couple of years after I finished A-levels before I went on to do more studying, and that was so valuable to earn some money, to do different kinds of work, to meet different kinds of people, and just gain some life experience. Most young people at the age of 18 or 19 are quite naive, and why wouldn't they be? You know, we don't have a lot of life experience, the majority of us, at the ages of 18 and 19. And if we've been raised in a family where we've been protected from a lot of things in life, then that's the time when you really start to step out on your own. Some young people have had other experiences and that will equip them differently. But for the majority who've been in full-time education, living with a family, there's not a huge amount of things that you've really had to deal with completely on your own for the majority of us by that age of 18. So having a year or a couple of years to do something different, to look at the world in a different way, to maybe volunteer or contribute to something in your community can be extremely valuable and will all be a credit to you when you go on to do whatever else you're going to choose to do down track. So my message really is just about taking a little bit of time, not rushing into the first thing that comes your way, not feeling pressured by your school or college to go straight to clearing, to just maybe sit with it for a few days and see what comes up for you. Don't feel pressured by what your friends are doing. It's always tempting to compare yourself to other people and see what they're doing. Really try and take a step back from that and to sort of be quiet, have some quiet time with yourself, to maybe talk things over with someone that you know and trust, whilst remembering that other people always have some kind of agenda, and bearing that in mind when you do have those conversations. Maybe write some things down for yourself, maybe write down what the choices are, and once you start to do that, there are always a lot more choices, a lot more solutions, and a lot more possibilities than you could ever have imagined. So those are some of my thoughts today about what's been going on, and really do try not to get caught up in all the whys and wherefores of what's happened with the not taking of exams, with the way that a lot of marks have been downgraded and the ins and outs of that. At the end of the day, people can appeal, and yes, you do have an opportunity to sit the exams again in the autumn, and that is always a choice. But rather than externalizing things and blaming or apportioning blame to a body or a person or a system, just try and sit with what's happened and this experience that you're going through, and really sit with what's coming up for you, and then look at what it is that you want. You know, what you want in life now may be very different to what you want in 10 years' time, and really see this next step as a stepping stone to the next chapter of your life, which will unfold, whatever. If you've enjoyed this film today, please subscribe to the channel. You can find me on Facebook at Self Development Leicester for everyday inspiration and topical information around emotional health and well-being. So I'm Vicky Marston. Until the next time, it's been my pleasure to be with you here today. Good health, and thank you for joining me.